you. Thank you for everybody that's joining us and for being here. And how are we feeling? Do we feel ready to begin? Okay. So, welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us today. This is our Ocean Virtual Art Residency, a collaboration between Moku Art Studio and Mango, which brings together artists from all around the world to explore their connection with the ocean through a creative space. Over the course of 5 weeks, these amazing artists engaged in dialogue, research, reflection on critical marine issues like climate change and ocean conservation, and you will find out more as they tell us about their projects. And this open studio offers a window into their creative journeys, showcasing works that honor the ocean's beauty while supporting the UN Ocean Decade's mission to protect and restore our blue planet as an officially endorsed activity. So we invite you to stay till the end because we will have a link to share the live exhibition. And with the exhibition, there is also a form where you can also give feedback and your thoughts on your thoughts and feelings and anything that the art inspires for you. So we want to make sure that you stay till the very, very end. And thank you for being with us here today. Nancy.
Bueno, hola, bienvenidos y bienvenidas a todos a este espacio que es el Open Studio virtual de la residencia artística en relación al océano. Es una colaboración entre Moku Art Studio y Mango Residencia para Artistas, donde reunimos artistas de todo el mundo para explorar su conexión con el océano a través de las prácticas creativas. Durante 5 semanas, los artistas participantes mantuvieron diálogo, investigaron y reflexionaron sobre cuestiones marinas fundamentales, como el cambio climático y la conservación del océano. Este estudio abierto ofrece una ventana a sus viajes creativos, mostrando obras que honran la belleza del océano y apoyan la misión del diseño del océano de las Naciones Unidas de proteger y restaurar nuestro planeta azul. Es una actividad oficial respaldada por ellos este programa. Los invitamos a que se queden hasta el final, donde podrán descubrir cada proceso creativo de ellos, dar por inaugurada la exposición virtual, donde cada uno podrá tener el link y navegarla a sus tiempos y formas. Y también habrá un link a un formulario para que puedan dejarle una devolución al artista al cual ustedes consideren. Muchas gracias. Frida.
And so, without further ado, we'll begin with our first artist, who is Natalie. Natalie Wells is an emerging printmaker based in the United Kingdom. The underwater world holds endless wonders, and she always enjoys capturing them through photography. Natalie's underwater photos now serve as the inspiration for her prints. The floor is yours, Natalie.
Thank you. Let me just bring my slides up to share with you. Hopefully that's now all in slide view for all of you and you can see them clearly.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, good, good. So you've already heard that I'm a keen scuba diver, passionate scuba diver. In fact, I've been diving since the mid-1990s and immediately fell in love with the underworld. I really wasn't sure I'd take to it, but I loved it. I became an underwater instructor and I was able to then share the amazing underworld, water world with other people. And then soon took up underwater photography to add another aspect to my diving. As you've heard, the photos are a source of my inspiration for my prints. And while I've always had a love of printmaking and have sort of gone in and out of printmaking, I've been able to focus more on it recently. And this particular photo acts as inspiration for a couple of prints that are on the next slide. And this photo was taken in the Maldives in April this year. So what do I do prints of and how do I do them? What techniques? Well, I think you can see from this slide, mantas, mantas, mantas. I do a lot of underwater things. Hello?
Yeah, sorry, the slide didn't change, just letting you know.
Oh, I go back and forward. Does it change now? Did it change now?
No, but I think, now it did, There we go.
I'm in slide view. Yeah, okay. So mantas are my absolute favorite species to come across underwater. They're just so graceful and just giants that you come across in underwater if you're very lucky. as you can see, I've created several manta prints using a range of techniques to try and emulate the essence of each image. The ones shown here from top left, you've got cyanotype, then you've got mokuhanga over on the right-hand side as well. Then you've got lino cut, and in the bottom, you've got an etching, and then finally a screen print. However, my prints to date, including all of these, have been on a small scale. And I often have people comment that they have no idea of the size of different underwater species, including the sheer scale of mantas. So I decided to use this residency to develop the ambition to print a life-size manta. No mean feat, I can tell you. I had recently tried cyanotype, like the top left image, but that was only on a piece of paper that was 0.7 meters by half a meter. And so, you know, a much, much smaller scale. That print's created using plastic bags to reflect the plastic polluting our oceans. And I feel that it gives quite a ghost-like appearance of the manta. And I just hope that's not the way they go, because they're so beautiful and always make me want to cry when I see them underwater. I'm going to the next slide. Did that change? Has it changed to the next slide?
Not for now.
Oh, gosh, I keep going out. Has it changed now? If I go back?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I have to go out of slide view each time. How strange. Okay. So having decided to use cyanotype, and that a cyanotype would have the potential to achieve the scale needed to do a life-size manta without a huge investment in my printmaking setup that I have at home. So cyanotype is a process where you treat the paper, you create a mask, and then expose that paper, or it could be fabric, to UV light. So the first week, our word to work on for that week was movement. So I had a series of photos that I'd taken showing the wing movement of its manta as it flies through the water. So I wanted to use those, and used actually this as tissue paper folded in different ways to create the mask. The next week was layers. And so I added netting, and then also a quote, an inspirational and a poignant quote from Sir David Attenborough. So if we save the sea, we save the world, which the net was there because of overfishing being the biggest threat to mantas. The next word being tide. Here I experimented creating the edge of the water effect. So you could either be seen as the seashore or a surface of the water. So I was really playing with how I applied the chemicals to the paper. And then finally plunge, which for me was taking the plunge to finally start on my life-size manta print, of which this image is a close-up of that print. And the project definitely pushed me to adding dynamism, which I think you can maybe see from these 4 images. I will go out of slide view and back in, as that seems to work. So a couple of the challenges. So the sun, as we go into winter in the UK, it's not known for having lots of sun, so that was a key challenge. So the exposure on the left-hand side was taken on a sunny day in, I think, October. But then we were going to have a series of about 10 days of no sun. So I invested in 600 watt UV lights so that I could use the lights to expose a manta. Then the second element was scale. So I had previously worked on this, the piece on the left is 1 meter by 70 centimeters. That was the largest cyanotype I'd worked on, but I was looking to produce something on a sheet of paper that was 3 meters by 1.5 meters. So that was my next challenge. So I had to convert my utility room that you can see there with lots of plastic protection on the washing machines and everything, so that I could work on such a large piece. I will go back out of here and then hopefully go back in. Now this slide has a video that I will start running. So I'm going to talk through the process I went through to produce this life-size manta print. So here you can see I've got the protection on the floor. Then I had a 1.5 meter roll of paper by 10 meter roll of 300 gram Fabriano watercolor paper, and rolled out a 3 meter length of the paper, which you can see there. Then the chemicals are weighed out separately. As soon as you mix them together, they become light sensitive. And so you have to keep them in the dark and you have to apply them in the dark. So this is a quick look at this as the chemicals are just drying, and there you can see them dried. So that paper is now ready for exposure.
I don't think the video is playing, Natalie, because
oh no, really? Okay. Oh no. It's playing my end, which is strange. Maybe if I play it not in the screen show, it might play. Tell me if you see it go on to the next image shortly. Is that now showing the paper? Is it showing the paper?
You stopped sharing screen, I think.
I didn't. Why don't I try and share entire screen, then go back to my slides and see if that resolves the issue.
We can see the video now. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so these are the chemicals. As soon as you mix them, they then become light sensitive. And then the next image will show where I've applied the chemicals to the paper very quickly, so I could only turn the lights on for a few seconds. And then you can see the paper where it's nearly dry, and I was really trying to apply them in a dynamic way. Now, I didn't want to waste such a large sheet of expensive paper, so I ran some different tests. So here I've got 3 different thicknesses of the plastic sheeting, and then different exposure intervals at 2.5 minutes going up to 25 minutes. And so it's really looking at the balance between the darkness of the lovely Prussian blue and the amount of detail that you can see going through the plastic sheet. The next stage was carefully creating the manta shape out of the plastic sheeting. And then I also draped some string over to give the illusion of the light reflection in the water. And that this cyanotype was exposed for 18 minutes. That's what I decided in the end. After the light exposure, the scale presented another big problem. You need cold water to fix it. My usual rinsing tray was far too small, so I used my son's old paddling pool, which I was already inflating on a cold November morning. And the rinsing had to be done in the dark, so I was out there rinsing it at night. In the next image, you'll finally see a sneak preview of me lying on my full-size manta print, which will be on the exhibition link. As you can see, the entire process has sent me rather crazy, and I'm sure the neighbours have wondered what's been going on too. No, I wasn't covering the utility room floor to clear up a crime scene. No, I do not have a cannabis farm growing in my cellar under UV light. And no, I'm not inviting kids to play in a paddling pool in November. So finally, hopefully you can see this last slide. Here are some close-ups of the final life-size print that shows some of the range of textures that can be achieved through this cyanotype technique. So this is my first life-size manta print, and it's been a great learning process for me and great to have a deadline to make me do it so quickly. Some tweaks to be made, but I hope I've done justice to the majestic creature. More work and a bigger space are needed to produce the 7-meter wingspan of an oceanic manta, but watch this space. I'd like to thank Frida and Mercedes and the other artists for their encouragement each week, and also apologies that I have to leave soon after my presentation in order to do the school run. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Natalie. That was amazing.
Apologies for the technical problems. It's, yeah, not really sure, that's fine.
Don't worry about that. So I will speak in Spanish for the audience that is Spanish speaker. Bueno, voy a hacer un resumen en español. Siempre pueden dejar sus preguntas en el chat. You can leave your questions in the chat and we will answer them later. Quiero hablar un poquito sobre Natalie para hacerles un resumen. Es una grabadora emergente que vive en Reino Unido. El mundo submarino encierra infinitas maravillas y ella siempre ha disfrutado capturándolas a través de la fotografía. Las fotografías submarinas de Natalie sirven ahora, en esta etapa, de inspiración para crear piezas bajo el proceso de cianotipia, tomando la manta, este animal, como una referencia para esta etapa. Muchas gracias. Thank you.
I can see one comment, which is from one of my scuba diving friends who I've known since the 90s, saying, what's next? A whale shark. He's being very cheeky because a whale shark is the length of a bus. So that may take some time, Mark Pat.
Things to consider, though. Thank you so much, Natalie. Our next.
Hey, Natalie. Oh, great project. I really love Kedra 3 animals in general. So just loving that you're working with rays And as a printmaker, I really love the organic flow of it. And I really liked on the edge of when you set the chemicals down, how you left that splatter effect. It made it very dynamic. I really like that visual. But a great project.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next artist is Richard Vivencio, who is an interdisciplinary artist. Through sculpture and installation, his work explores interior and exterior spaces through tangible and perceived intervention. Richard.
Hi, everyone. What's going on? Good morning. So I guess I went into this residency with I was in the middle of working on kind of a giant project, which it's months and months in the making. So during the course of the residency, I got a chance to, develop that a little bit more, but also taking a sentiment from the bigger project and putting it into a project that I was able to accomplish and in a 5-week period. That project was a printmaking project where I collaborate with scientists using their data negated from the image. So I'm going to give you guys I made a short little video of doing a little studio tour, describing the project a little bit. It's going to take a couple minutes. Maybe I'll play that and then I'll talk after that. What's the best way for me to put a video on here? Because I know we had some technical difficulties.
Do you have sound on the video?
Yeah, there is.
Okay. You would like to put
it's in my my folder.
Oh, you do not have it on
Vivencio
the internet.
Studio Vid.
Hold on. You need to share something on the internet to share audio, I think.
Okay.
But,
sorry,
and then you can share a tab of your internet.
Okay, so share a tab. Let me just get to this real quick. Sorry. Oh. All right, share screen and then click the tab.
Let's try that.
Okay, let's do it. All right. Oh, Chrome tab. Sorry, guys. Making sure this is the right thing. Hello? Oh, no. Hello? I think I clicked out of the chat.
No, you're still here.
I'm still here? Okay. I lost the chat, though, in one of my folder files. Sorry. Okay, found you guys. Okay. I think this is it. Is that sharing now? Okay, we're gonna skip the video because I can't figure it out. Okay. So guys, let me explain the project. I had this nice video prepared, but it's too difficult. Let's just explain this. So guys, my bigger project was making a underwater reef nursery. It's meant to be in the ocean temporarily, and it's using clippings of elkhorn and staghorn corals to then be replanted into a reef system. The idea of this project is kind of to, it'd be a work of art that also physically contributes to regrowing the reef. It can also, I think, be used to expose a broader audience to how we regrow reefs and hopefully get more eyes on it, more funding to it, to have this happen more in the future. I also think it'd be a great opportunity for areas affected by reef devastation to do kind of maybe tours and to show this kind of process. And it gives less strain to the reefs themselves if tourists are seeing these nurseries instead of going to the actual reef. I have a model here. It's not my schematic, but this is kind of the materials being used are the same materials that are kind of used currently in reef nurseries. So it's like you taking my linear abstract suspension work, which is something you can see behind me, and kind of bring them to the ocean floor. And with this residency, I was able to reach out to a lot of different new outlets for funding and just scientists to get more information on how to do this correctly and how to first see the project in the future. So now, the next project that I ended up figuring out through doing this residency was this printmaking project. And I was able, like my idea first was to, at first I was just finding images online of different organisms and finding data and negating it. I did want to do it as a printmaking project, but didn't have it totally figured out. So through talking with this group and kind of developing it a bit more, we did a talk with Dr. Emily Kenzelman, and with her I reached out and we collaborated on a piece where I was using her research about Pacific oysters and their microbiomes and disease. And we added it to a print, negated it out, and I'll show you some pictures of those prints. So this is one of the prints where the dots and these circles are showing microbiome groups. In our statement, she explains it more in detail, better than I could. But and then I did some where I kind of painted the back. So we did a hand paintings on some of these. And the idea of the project is I kind of want to continue doing this. I already, I think, have a second scientist lined up where I will continue to take the photos, edit the photos, make a print, and use research negated from it, hopefully concluding all of these in a book after there's a good amount of them. I think it's a very interesting way to share data and to come and make it that, you know, draws people in to learn something. You know, reading, if you're not people like us, you probably don't read journals about the ocean. So I think this is a good way to kind of have normal people be drawn in by a visual and get to learn something. And then once you learn something, you care about it. And once you care about something, you again can kind of change these things. So yeah, that was kind of what I worked on these last couple of weeks. If you guys have any questions, please reach out. Oh, Emily, I see is on here. Thank you so much for collaborating. If you want to explain your graph better than I could, please hop on.
I mean, why not? I'm here.
Hey.
You did a great job, though. Basically, those dots are, like Rich said, the microbiome of the oyster, and there's kind of groups that, so like each sample, each dot is an oyster sample of their microbiome, and then it changes as the oyster becomes infected with a virus and eventually succumbs to that virus and dies. So basically, as you move from like one oval to another, the microbiome is changing, and it's changing in a negative way where kind of opportunistic bacteria that could also like help cause that disease to progress are taking over. Hopefully that just like adds a little bit.
Oh, Emily, thank you so much.
Thank you. This is awesome. I'm so excited about what you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much, Richard. I will speak in Spanish now. Bueno, entonces voy a presentar a Richard Vivencio. Él es un artista interdisciplinario, vive en California. A través de la escultura y la instalación, la obra de Richard explora el espacio interior y exterior mediante intervenciones tangibles y perceptibles. En este caso puntual, Richard estuvo hablando y nos mostró un trabajo que realizó en colaboración con Emily, que es una científica que estuvo colaborando con nosotros en el programa, pero también interconectaron entre ellos. Entonces, puntualmente era sobre una ostra y todo lo relacionado con una enfermedad o un virus o bacteria que puede tener la ostra. Entonces ahí Emily dio una explicación técnica y Richard mostró la representación artística de ese contenido científico. Súper interesante. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much.
Our next artist is Marine from Laborar, which is a collective duo composed of, and Marine, please fix my pronunciation after this. Rafael Deli, a non-binary media artist, and Marine Thinuson, an artist researcher working at the intersection of live arts and technology. Their projects explore the relationship between humans and non-humans entities on stage and in life. Marine.
Yes, thank you. So I share my up. Okay, so I just will go to the good page for me. Okay, so I will. Can you see it well? I can see you now. Which is just 1 second.
Okay.
Can you see it?
We see the document. We don't see
Okay,
full screen.
That's perfect. So thank you. So I was super glad to be part of this international artistic residency. We are working with the Laborare, our collective, on a new project that names is Rising Tides. So basically we are, can you see it moving? Like the rising tides?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. So we are proceeding on research creation. This is the way we are working. I'm an academic and an artist. And so our research creation Rising Tide is really around imaginaries of adaptation of humans regarding the rising sea levels and the risk of losing land. So we've been in Europe in 2024, making few different artistic residencies across Europe in different areas that were threatened by rising sea levels. And so we made records of lands, like sounds, videos, and also of people. I was interviewing people with the help of Raphael, of course. And so we now are following this investigation here in Canada. And well, everywhere we can, we would like to go everywhere, but you know, there is a ecological cost to go everywhere. So now it's Canada because this is where we are based. We come from Europe and we live in Canada. So this is the reason for Europe and Canada. So from this trip, we start creating a choreographic project with the Alana performer. Alana Crashbell is the performer we are working with. She's a dancer, really amazing in improvisation. Adaptation was also a big word for her within her practice. We've made screen printing, Flickr films with the screen printing series, and now a video art series. So during the residency, with Ocean Residency, we were working on how to put in a artistic installation the recording of the people we've made in Europe. So typically we were asking each people that had worked with us, we asked them who you are, what do you know about the problem of rising sea levels within your area, and if you had a magic wand or superpower, what would you do to adapt to this situation? So here we were working on this installation prototype, and the results of it are for the exhibition video art more than an installation, but we progress a lot on figuring out what we want for this future installation. So just to share with you a bit, so each week I was doing a slide presenting inspiration, prototypes, etc. So I will just follow them. So I start just with inspiration I found on the internet from other artists. And so I was interested to work with foam and also the riddles, or I don't know how to say that, like the mirroring lights of water. And so I was searching how to project also on water. So, and figuring out what kind of material I could use, and also recycling with Raphael. Then after that, we start to make proto-tests within our bathtub. So that was really weird, but interesting. So we could like just discard different choices, because we only had like one morning within a black box to make our essays, the artistic essays. So we had to figure out what we should not keep or keep for this period. So at first I had like a lot of problem with video reflection that was making like rainbow. Then we started to, I don't know why my video isn't working, that's weird, I'm sorry. So we started with stagnant water and just trying to project within the water. It was like gray water of our bath. So that was interesting because the water wasn't translucid, and so we just started with that. So stagnant water wasn't that interesting. So we started with the shower, trying to make rain and to project with rain. And it was also a bit like not completely working. And so we started to work with the foam on the water. And so it was really more interesting because the foam was revealing the projection of the people. So the people I've been making interview with. And so also we had that kind of riddle, that projection of water reflection that we really loved. And so we decided what to keep, what to let go. Like I've loved working with gray water because it was like more ecological, like just to recycle this water. Working with small foam moving, revealing images and the reflections. And we decided to let few possibilities, but we had this problem with like diffraction. And as we didn't have a video projector all the time, it was hard to make more essays before the black box. So that was a bit stressing, but interesting. So finally, the experimentation, I found a round object. It's like a plate with this embossed down. You can see that it's all the surface is like textured in a way because it's embossed. And so we decided to use it, to try it at first within the black box. So putting water within it and to project within water. And so we just start putting the plate on the floor and having a video projector on top. And so at first we loved the fact that they were like a square of the video, but the round was making troubling the images, so we couldn't really see the people, and we thought it was interesting, but we weren't certain of the final rendering. And for instance, at first we just put, it was like an incident, we put a bit of water around the plate, and so finally we decided to add more of them. And so we had this video. I really don't know why my video isn't working. Here we are. So there is foam, and so the projection is within the foam, and I add water around the plate just to see. But as you can see, it wasn't moving a lot. And so one of the thing I was like, I thought that movement was adding something. And also because one of the rules that I gave to the people I was interviewing for this portrait, so I was recording them with sound, and then we were filming them like a video portrait. And so they are really still themselves. So I was like, okay, we should like add, because like now the person is moving and it's more interesting, unless I just have the feeling that I'm watching a picture, you know. And so it was important that it was clear that it was a video and not a photographic document. And so we started creating movement with different essays. So adding water to make the foam moving, for instance. Then we tried to move the plate ourselves. And so I was like zooming to see, okay, if I have just the plate and not the square around, how does it look? And finally, we decided to create that manually make movement was more interesting. To have less water and foam seems also a best result, because it was revealing and unrevealing the bottom of the plate. And so at the end also, within the bathtub, the foam was allowing us to see more the portrait, because the images were like going deep on the water, and so we lose the images, but the foam was really revealing it. Here it's a bit reversed, so the foam is troubling the images, and the plate is revealing. And so we tried also to make a mask with our hands to see if we have only the plate, what's the result. And I really liked it, and I figured out that moving myself, my hands was also interesting, like a shifting light. So finally we have like 6 videos. Well, I was just stop sharing my up. So now we have like 6 videos that are within the exhibition and that you can discover. And of course, also when I present it here, you cannot hear the people, but with the video, you have the video portrait, but also the interview, a montage of the interview. So you can hear the reflection of people about adapting to the rising sea levels and their knowledge about what's happening within their lands. Thank you.
Thank you, Marine.
Thank you, Marine. Muchas gracias. Bueno, La Borrère, espero que pronunciarlo bien, es un dúo colaborativo compuesto por Rafael Delis, que es un artista multimedia no binario, y Marine Tenoussien, que es una artista e investigadora que trabaja en la intersección entre las artes escénicas y la tecnología. Los proyectos exploran la relación entre los seres humanos y las entidades no humanas en los escenarios y en la vida. Y acaba de compartirnos su proceso creativo, donde entrevistaron a ciertos personajes relacionados al mundo del océano, que son personas que viven cerca de ahí y trabajan como pescadores, por ejemplo, fusionado con la forma en que ellos lo quieren representar de manera escénica, bueno, y contó todo el proceso creativo súper interesante. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next artist is Heather Stevenson. She's a visual artist who works primarily in painting and drawing. She's also a published author and a contributing art writer for Artscope magazine. Heather.
Hi. So I was not going to do the open studio from here because I don't have internet in my studio. I only have it here at home. So that's why I sent you the video, and I was hoping you could project that for me.
So I just put play, right? Okay.
It's not playing. creaky floors in the studio. Oh, hello. Come on in. Welcome to my studio. Let me show you around. As you can see by looking at the walls, I'm primarily a painter, and many of my paintings are about water. Water is mysterious to me. When we look at it, we don't actually see the water itself because it's colorless and formless. And so most of my paintings are not about illustrating water. They're about trying to capture the essence of water, its fluidity, its patterns of reflection, and even what building blocks of life exist unseen within the ocean chemistry. I'm very interested in natural forms and have always collected things like feathers and rocks and fossils for inspiration. Moving to the south coast of Massachusetts in 2014 made the ocean become a much bigger part of my life. The natural forms I collected shifted to shells and dried seaweed, the egg casings of skates and rays, and the long spiraling strings of whelk egg cases. The symmetry and the rhythmic patterns of these natural objects are visually fascinating to me. The way they echo the patterns of the sea reminds me of the magical relationship between ocean water and all living things. That's a concept I'd like to express in my artwork. Observing these treasures from the sea and studying about climate change and ocean water chemistry inspired me to explore oceans in a new way. This residency pushed me even further and forced me to step out of my comfort zone of painting on a flat canvas and instead try to imagine something entirely new to me. My goal for this project was to create a prototype for an installation of artworks. These would be made of lightweight fabric that would hang from the ceiling, like this image. Rather than looking at paintings on the walls, visitors would walk between and around the art. And if my project was successful, their motions would cause the fabric to move. Viewers would essentially become part of the art. That movement was especially important to me because I wanted to show how human activity impacts the ocean. Something moving in one part of the gallery would impact other art in the gallery, sometimes in subtle ways and sometimes in more dramatic ways, just as we see the human impact on our oceans. This painting of water was my starting point. The patterns came from studying the surface water I could see when I looked down from a footbridge near my home. When painting it, I avoided the literal representation and concentrated only on the components of pattern, fluidity, and reflections. I scanned in the painting to digitize it so that I could transfer it to fabric. And then I cut the scans in half. I decided to rotate them so that the darker, more dramatic colors would be on the bottom, closer to the viewers. Next, I ordered a few yards of lightweight white fabric. I would have someone help me transfer my art onto it once the fabric arrived. While I was waiting for the fabric to arrive, I worked out some ideas on silvery mesh that I had in my studio from another project. I envisioned attaching the silky fabric to this abstract representation of the shoreline. I planned to use circles on both the fabric and the silver mesh to suggest the idea of bubbles. We often forget that, like plants, our oceans play a large part in the quality of our atmosphere. They absorb around 25 to 30% of human-produced CO2 emissions. This action helps buffer the planet from the full effects of global warming by keeping excess CO2 out of our atmosphere, but it leads to a harmful side effect, ocean acidification. I used circles to help represent this process. When my designs were transferred to the fabric, reality hit me. I tried attaching the fabric to the silvery mesh, but everything became stiff and would not respond to any gentle breezes. And my original plan of highlighting the water patterns with silver embroidery thread didn't work either. The thickness of the thread made the fabric even less fluid. And then, even worse, the fabric was so lightweight and delicate, that when it was held up in the air as if it were hanging in the gallery, all the coloring of my painting virtually disappeared. Oh no, this was not going as planned. I tried 4 other types of fabric before finally finding one that was light enough to move, yet woven closely enough to maintain its color when hoisted into the air. So one problem was solved. And then I tried adding the silvery color with paint instead of embroidery. It worked really well. It was a slow process to add all that paint over the 2 30 by 60 inch banners, but in a couple of days I was done. I attached one continuous strand of satin to attach the banners to a wooden hanging bar. The thread went through the holes like a single shoelace in a sneaker. That way the banner could move freely because the thread just slid back and forth in the openings to self-adjust. And then I attached a single cord to each end of the hanging bar so that it could be hung from the center, allowing the banner to turn 360 degrees in either direction with the slightest air current. One of the other artists suggested that I try hanging the fabric from a round support instead of a flat one. It was a really interesting idea. So I used this wooden ring as a starting point. The tubular shape seems to suggest the water column beneath the surface. I used this painting to capture the mystery of the deeper water ocean level called the subsurface chlorophyll maximum. After that painting was transferred to 2 more yards of my white fabric, I used silver paint to embellish it with circles. When mounted and hung from a single point, the column turned in a circular motion, suggesting the sideways conveyor-like movement that is typical of that depth in the ocean. Well, the prototype for this installation is now finished, and I'm excited to share it with you in the virtual exhibition. And I'm thrilled that I'm ready to move ahead with creating a full-scale installation. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Heather. Muchas gracias. Bueno, Heather Stevenson es una artista visual que trabaja principalmente en pintura y dibujo. También es autora publicada y escritora, colaboradora en una revista que se llama Artscope Magazine. Heather aquí lo que compartió es su espacio en su estudio, donde ella trabaja principalmente basada en su curiosidad por el agua, que no la vemos, pero todo el micromundo que hay allí dentro. En este caso ella se inspiró y salió de su zona de confort, como bien dice, saliéndose de las 2 dimensiones de un Canva a crear una pieza donde se puede transitar alrededor, que son unas telas que tienen la representación del agua, y bueno, contó todo su proceso creativo de cómo llegó a ese resultado. También muy interesante. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much.
Our next artist is Dr. Midori Samson. She is a bassoonist, sound artist, educator, and social worker whose artistic practice integrates music and social justice, and healing-centered care. Midori.
Hi, everybody. Let me try. I'm so scared of the curse of like bad tech. Okay. Okay, all good?
All good for now.
Yay, okay, for now. All right. Thank you, everybody. It's been amazing to listen so far. I'm sorry I'm scripted today. I wanted to make sure that I stick to our 7-minute time. For those that haven't met me yet, my name is Midori Samson. I'm an artist in Lawrence, Kansas, and while my background is as a classical bassoonist, social worker, and professor, I also use electroacoustic sound art and visual media to explore my Asian American identity. I'm particularly interested in the experiences of my Filipino and Japanese immigrant ancestors. While I'm most inspired when I can visit the places where I know they once stood, retrace their steps, empathize with their pain, and reclaim memories lost to time, migration, and war. Many of my family's stories remain unanswered, so I lean into my longing to know them. Though they're gone, I talk to them, hoping to fill in the gaps in our history. These imagined conversations motivate my art. During this residency, I worked on 2 tracks from my in-progress audiovisual album, which is titled Conversations with the Ancestors I Never Got to Meet. In addition to composing the music, I developed visual environments that accompany each track. I think of them as immersive digital altars, sonic and visual places for remembrance. My process begins from a place of diasporic longing, a feeling that a lot of Asian Americans describe. Carrying my ancestors' memories of displacement and assimilation, I often ask, what even is home? I've longed for the countries of my heritage even before I'd ever been there, and even though I'm not fluent in those languages. This longing becomes a desire to heal the ache of questions I can't ask the ancestors I never met. I transform that longing into research methodology rooted in pilgrimage, going to the places where my ancestors lived, thrived, struggled, and left. While I'm there, I practice deep listening, a concept from composer Pauline Oliveros, who instructs us to walk as if our feet have ears. Much of this phase took place during a fieldwork trip to the Philippines earlier in May this year. Alongside deep listening, I ground my work in archival research, visiting local museums, reading texts unavailable in the US, and learning more about Filipino history in this case, while also engaging in autoethnography, the study of oneself. I observe my own responses. What things move me or anger me? What can I learn about myself? And how my observations connect to the larger histories of migration and survival. Some questions guide me. What might my ancestors have heard in this place? What sounds might have terrified them here? What sounds might have comforted them here? How do I feel in this place? And what does that feeling sound like? And there are tiny remnants of their presence here. Are there any tiny remnants of their presence here that are still available to me? Also, here's what that looks like. After gathering these data materials, I move into composing and altar building. This was the phase I spent my time during the residency. And coincidentally, the residency fell during Undas, which is a Filipino holiday for the dead. I improvised on bassoon and piano, layering field recordings with my own voice, and created soundscapes that hold both feelings of grief and gratitude. I sit at home with my altar while seeking my ancestors' presence through music and sound that emerges from the data I collected. During the residency, I composed 2 new tracks exploring connections between my Filipino ancestors, the ocean, lost indigenous connections, and the natural world more broadly. My project is hosted on an external site. You can find the links in my section of the exhibition map. On that site, you can also see 3 tracks that I wrote previously that are based on pilgrimages to Japan that supplement the album as well. Now, I'd like to preview the 2 tracks I worked on for the last few weeks. The first is La Union, 1927. My great-grandfather Gundren left La Union, Philippines to immigrate to the United States in 1927. Like many Asian American immigrants, he sought opportunity and distanced himself from Ilocano culture for the sake of survival and assimilation, and due to loss of access to tradition. My pilgrimage to La Union earlier this year was an attempt to reconnect with what was lost there, lost across the 3 generations and 100 years between us. La Union 1927 uses field recordings I made while walking through San Fernando from the highway to the ocean, capturing the rhythms of daily life in this seaside barangay. Its accompanying visual environment displays objects gathered in La Union, tied to the sea, Ilocano indigeneity, and the ancestors who left La Union and could not return. This track honors the traditions that remain, those I'm rediscovering, and my ancestors' resilience through colonization and displacement. Here's a short excerpt of that audio. more on the site when you go to it in the exhibition. The transition and the second track is called I'll Find You at the Ocean Altar and Epilogue. The transition from growing up in Portland, Oregon to settling into my job in the Midwest was difficult. I didn't realize how much the ocean shaped my happiness until I lived far from it. But I take comfort in knowing that the ancestors all along my Asian lineage once touched the Pacific Ocean, whether for migration, survival, pleasure, and perhaps through grief. When I go home and touch that water, I feel their presence, their touch, and the past than when they were there. I'll Find You at the Ocean Altar honors the Pacific Ocean as my altar, the place where I ask, are you still here? And am reminded they are. Composed from piano and bassoon improvisations, I use dissonance and harmony to express both grief and gratitude, mixed with ocean field recordings collected where my ancestors came from in the Philippines and Japan. As the final track of the album, it includes an epilogue inspired by a memory from 10 years ago. Swimming in the sea in the Philippines under a new moon, surrounded by stars, fireflies, and bioluminescent fish below me, floating in the water where my ancestors touched. Here's some audio from that. Are you still here? While this is an incredibly personal project, I wonder if the themes and imagery resonate with others, especially those who carry your own intergenerational stories of immigration, war, colonization, cultural erasure, or have spiritual memories connected to the ocean. To sit with these stories for the last several weeks, to share them publicly now, has been life-giving and healing. I invite you to explore my page. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Midori. Muchas gracias. Bueno, la doctora Midori Sampson es fagotista, artista sonora, educadora y trabajadora social, cuya práctica artística integra la música con la justicia social y la atención centrada en la sanación. Sus piezas sonoras tienen origen en su identidad asiática estadounidense, inspirándose en la historia y memoria de sus ancestros originarios de Japón y Filipinas, realizando un trabajo de conexión, memoria, investigación y de campo en las regiones originarias de donde ellos eran, siempre conectados por el Océano Pacífico. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much.
Midori, can I say something to you?
Yes. Hello.
I'm from Japan. Hello. Kumusta kayo, guy?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my English, sorry. Well, I learned English from Filipino tutors. They were samurai Ilonggos. That's why I'm familiar with the words you mentioned in your presentation. And it seems like we have much in common because I love this piece by putting all of us deep listening. Yeah, I'm a big fan of hers. That's why, yeah, I love your sound pieces that I will go to your YouTube channel later. Thank you.
Wow.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Nori-san. It sounds like we do have a lot in common.
And especially Midori means green in Japanese. I got you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you.
よろしくお願いします。
こちらこそ。笑の間。
Thank you, Nori.
Yeah.
Our next artist is Alaris Agitant. She's currently doing her PhD in human geography at the University of Milano, Boccia, I think I'm saying that right, and based in Sicily. She is part of a research project investigating the human dimensions of the conservation of marine biodiversity in the Mediterranean called Mediversity. Her interdisciplinary research specifically looks at gender dynamics of fishing communities, tying together notions of care and equity in marine spaces. Luis?
Thank you, Frida. Mercedes, are you able to share the photos? Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for the introduction. As Frida said, I feel more of an academic than an artist. So this was actually my first time participating in an art residency, even though I had played before with visual essays and documentary photography. But this was a very intimidating but great experience. So the project, as Frida said, that I am going to present is part of a broader, longer research project. I work on a niche, like all PhDs. The niche being gender in the fascinating world of fisheries in the Mediterranean. So just bear with me as I dip a toe in my research just to explain a bit the reason of why I did this residence. You might wonder what gender has to do with fisheries. It's pretty, well, if you close your eyes and imagine what a fisher looks like, you might imagine him. So first of all, being a man, and you might imagine him as sturdy, stoic, strong, solitary maybe. So if the imaginaries that you may have about this sector kind of reproduce this idea that fisheries is a masculine world, it's actually useful to expand a little bit this cliche image and look at fishing as not only related to the act of fishing itself, but rather as a system, so an industry maybe. And the fishing industry employs people both before, during, and after the act of fishing. And here it's useful to look at this with a gender perspective, because in the Mediterranean, where we might have only about 1% of the fishing jobs held by women. But if we look at the broader fishing as a broader scope, they're 1/3 of the jobs, so 30%. So that's quite a significant difference. And so my research interests look at these women, how they care about and how they care for the sea. So after this little introduction, I can explain a bit more why I'm here. My aim in participating in this residency was to think about a creative methodology to engage with these women in the fishing industry, specifically in Sicily, where I'm based. You can go to the next slide, Mercedes. Thanks. So during these couple of weeks, I developed a text. So it's not the funnest thing to present in a restitution like this, but this was the crux of my tasks, let's say, of this residency. And the methodology is based on participant photography. And so throughout the residency, I had exchanges with different artists, both within and outside of the project, to develop this idea and see what people were thinking about this. And then I developed a protocol of how I'm going to engage with these women from the fishing industry. And the idea will be to distribute disposable cameras, not reinventing the wheel, because this method already exists in social sciences. It's called photo voice, but giving them specific instructions, such as take photos about where you care about the sea, or take photos of what you do with the sea, or where you get information about the sea. I'll then develop the photos, bring them back, and use this as a way to elicit conversations about this idea of care. Moving beyond the explanation of this methodology, I wanted to test out what this methodology entails, and what better to do this than to do it on yourself. So after developing the protocol, I decided to use some time to take photos myself with these prompts. And I came up with a short documentary series of photos, which you can see on the website once it will be public, where I decided to focus on an old tuna factory on an island in the west coast of Sicily called Favignana. And this tuna factory had caught my attention for some reason. And through the process of taking those photos, I uncovered some stories, some forgotten stories of the women who were working in this factory. If I still have a minute, I wanted to share a little bit of the more personal reflections of this exercise. If you can go to the next slide, Mercedes. So these photos are outside of the mini-series exhibition, but while taking them, I realized that well, first of all, that you can discover a lot from fixed snapshots, and looking at histories of the place and putting them into context actually did exactly on me what I would like to replicate on others through my research. And if you go to the next slide, I also had a deeper and more personal reflection, which was to realize that what I care about when I'm at sea, me as Alois, is my research project. And this realization came with a bit of a dreadful thought, which is that the sea that was once a space of relaxation or pleasure transforms slowly into a space where I feel like I need to be alert, taking notes, being reflexive, self-critical, thinking, analyzing this human dimension of the sea. And in this way, I kind of feel betrayed from the freedom I used to feel by becoming this place of work. The sea somehow feels like it's been a little bit robbed away from this freedom. And I wonder if the women that I'll be working with will feel the same. Hopefully that's something I'll be able to talk more about once I finish my research project. So keep if you're interested, don't hesitate to keep in touch. And yeah, the photos that I showed in this presentation are shots that I took using film with prompts on the reflection on care. And I just wanted to invite you to also reflect on this. And if you'd like, why not try this exercise yourself, questioning what gets your attention about the sea. And yeah, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoy the exhibition and the really great projects that others partook in. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Alois. Entonces, Alois Aguetant está, bueno, ella es francesa y está viviendo en Sicilia, Italia. Está realizando actualmente un doctorado en Geografía Humana en la Universidad de Milán Bicocca, con sede en Sicilia. Forma parte de un proyecto de investigación que estudia las dimensiones humanas de la conservación de la biodiversidad marina en el Mediterráneo. Su investigación interdisciplinaria se centra específicamente en la dinámica de género de las comunidades pesqueras, vinculando las nociones de cuidado y equidad en los espacios marinos. En esta etapa decidió tomar fotografías en una vieja fábrica de atún en Sicilia, También se permitió desarrollar varias reflexiones desde aspectos generales hasta lo personal, donde ahora ve el mar no como un lugar de descanso, sino como un espacio para investigar y concientizar, y nos invita a reflexionar preguntándonos cuál es nuestro vínculo y cuál es nuestra reflexión respecto al mar. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much.
Our next artist is Leila Hernandez. She's an artist and educator in the art department at South Texas College, originally from El Salvador. Her practice spans oil pastels, watercolor, and mixed media textiles made from recycled clothing. Leila.
Hello, how are you guys doing? I've been watching all of your presentations and I'm kind of intimidated because you guys are so good, you know, and I was thinking it was more casual, but my goodness, you guys are so fantastic. It's been certainly a pleasure to share with you this amazing process. So I'm going to attempt, like everybody else, to share my presentation, and I hope that I can, because apparently it's just being a little bit, okay, hold on. Anyways, so I'll talk a little bit while I try to, oh my gosh, it's froze. Oh my God. Okay, just like everybody else, I'm having issues over here. Oh no, okay. All right, just let's talk about it. I don't know, so everything's frozen in my computer. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna start crying. So, but you guys can see me, right?
Correct, Leila, yeah. Don't worry. And take your minute to find what you need to find. Don't worry about that.
Okay, I might come off, sorry. No, it's froze. I don't know what's going on. But no, I'll just talk about my stuff. So my project focuses on the decline of whale songs, both as a scientific phenomenon and as a poetic metaphor. I use 3D spectrograms of humpback whale calls, as well as visual data from pattern radio whale songs as the foundation for my creative process. I was working across a variety of media, and I ended up working with dry pastels. And I began by working with individual sounds that I found that were visual. And then I decided to use fluorescent pastels, which was amazing because it lit up everything and it looks so fantastic. So then I combined all the work that I had done, which I started also kind of going with the music of whales and just kind of feeling the music and kind of making concentric circles and looking at that. So I started with blue whales who were very calm and very smooth. And then I went to humpback whales, and it was insane because they started like all over the place, shrieks, highs and lows, and the images started to become a little bit complex, right? So then I decided to just focus on one song, on one sound, and then I created a couple of drawings with that. And then, of course, I also did them fluorescent. And then at the end, I started combining everything. I found sheets of music of birds in the round, and I integrated that because of the way that I was doing the compositions. Instead of having the music straight, it was kind of round, and then I worked with primary colors and a different kind of effects. And I wanted to make these fragile songs just continue, because the problem is that when I started this artist residency, I was very impressed by the fact that the whales were not singing anymore, you know, and I started researching, and it's because we're overfishing, because we're doing so many things to the ocean that is affecting, you know, the whales who are not singing anymore. You know, they're undernourished, and there's all sorts of different things that we as humans are affecting these beautiful, you know, animals that live in the ocean and have been living for a very long time. So that was the inspiration for my research. which I cannot present, but anyways, I'm just talking about it, and make this great PowerPoint that I can show. But so the ocean just becomes both subject and collaborating, and I also invite, this reflection on this silence and beauty and vulnerability, while I, highlight the migration and the interconnection between the whales, and now between us and them, because we are starting to care more about what's in the ocean. So through this synthesis of science and art, my work honors the ocean as a living archive of sound, memory, and survival. And I think that it is our responsibility to care about these animals that are part of our world and are so significant. That's what I can do. It's a presentation. Oh my
Thank you
God.
very much.
I want to start crying.
Amazing, don't worry, please. Bien, bueno, Leila Hernández es una artista y educadora del Departamento de Arte de South Texas College en Estados Unidos y es originaria de El Salvador. Su práctica abarca pasteles al óleo, acuarelas y textiles de técnicas mixtas, elaborándolas a partir de ropa reciclada. Su proyecto en esta residencia se basa en que las ballenas han dejado de cantar. Ha combinado la música de las ballenas, desde las que cantan suave hasta las que cantan más fuerte e intenso. Focalizó entonces en un solo sonido y ha creado dibujos inspirada en estos sonidos. Integró esos dibujos a partituras circulares, utilizando colores vibrantes para representar la bioluminosidad que ofrecen ciertas especies del océano. Invita a la reflexión de la vulnerabilidad a través de la interconexión de las ballenas y este problema que tienen y la supervivencia de la vida marina. Muchas gracias.
Our next artist, unfortunately, cannot be here with us because she's currently traveling, but she did leave a video for us. Gina Lorenzi is a mover, maker, researcher, and educator who aims to craft curious and dynamic interdisciplinary works of dance that spark wonder and invite reflection. A passion for scuba diving and a lover of nature, Gina's recent choreographic work explores awe and the human impact on the planet through the medium of dance.
Hi everyone, sorry I can't be there today for the open studio. I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Gina Lorenzi. I'm a movement artist, a choreographer, and an educator. Originally from Wisconsin, I currently reside in Texas, where I teach at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. Today I'm going to take you through the behind the scenes of my project. So it was really a lovely experience to be a part of this residency. I often explore the ocean as a theme in my creative work. But this, being that it's virtual, really allowed me to think a bit more about the whole creative process and the way that I present the research and the creative work. So really this whole project is a bit of a behind the scenes into the creative process. So I hope to develop it all into a full-length concert, but what you'll see here is truly a pulled back, very raw example of some of the work I've done with the dancers and how we go about creating things. And the project itself is just a little bit more refined, but still not completely finished, still very much works in progress. Everything, although there's filters and various editing that was done to the footage, it's really still part of the creative process that would build into a larger work for the stage. That work would have projection, footage layered in, possibly also recorded footage of the dancers, just lots of layers to really make the experience immersive. What you see here is we started with a clip of myself doing some improvisation. So often I utilize improvisation as a tool to help me generate material
and create movement, I often do a little bit of writing based off of, in this case, my dive footage, kind of recalling that experience of diving and the things that I'd seen, and trying to kind of transport myself back to that time, and mixed with research that I do outside. I do a little bit of writing and a little bit of dancing, and I kind of go back and forth. And through that process, tend to really get wrapped into my improvisation. And from there, tend to develop scores. And those scores, I then relay to the dancers to have them explore it in a different way. So it starts with a clip of myself improvising, layered with some footage just of plastic and other debris, which we ended up layering into some of the videos you'll see in the project. And then it moves here into a duet I was working on with two of my movement researchers, Martha and Andrea. And they're performing a score about symbiosis. Some of the directions include sticking together and imagining that they need or use each other to survive. In this next clip, I was working out some ideas for a solo where I think about the environment changing over time due to human influence. So I start like I'm kind of just in my own environment observing the scene, and slowly I start to respond to other factors in that environment. I then layered on an image of some plastics. I was beginning to think about the editing that I would do later for some of the more finished pieces. In this next clip here, I'm workshopping some ideas in my office, playing with some projection and how it might look to see the video projection, the dive footage on the skin of a dancer, thinking about what we're going to do later. This clip here just shows the scores that I've been developing. The scores are really a poetic set of directions for the dancers to interpret. This clip here features another one of my student researchers, Annalisa. She's dancing a solo based off of the movements of various animals that might live on a reef. So the final project is really a few different things. One, it's a series called Beings, which is really a movement language I'm crafting and I've worked with the dancers on, and it involves embodying the movement qualities of various marine organisms. The other is videos that are edited, but it's sort of a collection of some of the work that we've done building these scores for movement. Most of the music was created by my collaborator, Alan Russell of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Thank you for taking the time to check out my project, and I'm looking forward to continuing to develop this research and to turn these pieces into larger works for the stage.
Well, thank you, Leila, for your video. Sorry, Leila, no, Gina. Gina Laurenzi es bailarina, creadora, investigadora y educadora. Tiene como objetivo crear obras de danza interdisciplinarias, curiosas y dinámicas que despierten el asombro e inviten a la reflexión. Apasionada por el buceo, amante de la naturaleza, la reciente obra coreográfica de Gina explora el asombro y el impacto humano en el planeta a través de la danza. Nos ha mostrado en este video el detrás de escena de la exploración que tiene ella y sus bailarinas, vinculando movimiento y representando a especies y criaturas dentro del océano. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much.
Our final artist was also unable to be with us today, but I'll tell you a little bit about him before finalizing our open studio and send you guys to the exhibition. But Bradley Couch is an artist and conceptual cartographer with an AS in Computer Information System and certifications in networking. He was interested in mapping myths and legends as part of the globe, and this idea of what is up above, so below. And you can read and discover his work when you get to see the exhibition. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to the artists of the Ocean Virtual Art Residency for sharing their passion, insight, and remarkable creativity. We're incredibly proud of you and your work, and the fact that you allowed us to be a part of your process as well. Their work reveals the ocean's beauty and fragility with striking clarity, and we hope that this exhibition inspires awe, nurtures a sense of responsibility, and reminds us that protecting the ocean is protecting life itself. In the spirit of the UN Ocean Decade, may art encourage us to stay informed, take action, and advocate for ocean conservation. We invite you to explore the live virtual exhibition, to experience the artist's final works, each with a powerful reflection or connection to the sea and a call to safeguard its future. You will also find a link to a feedback form where you can share your thoughts directly with the artist as well. Your voice matters, so please join us in an ongoing conversation about art and our ocean, and I will be dropping those links in the chat.
I wanted to see if I could show if there's a possibility. I think it might work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Leila va a compartir su pantalla que pudo resolver el problema técnico. Sure. Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, let's see. Oh, look, there's something here. I'm just gonna share the entire screen. So if you see some interesting things on my projects, when anymore. Okay. Let's see. There you go. Can you see? Can you see?
Yes.
Okay. So I wanted to show my process. So I began with 3D spectrograms from humpback whales, and I found also these interpretations of these songs of whales, and that's how I began thinking. Like, these were my first in my initial sketches, where I combined the whale songs with sheet music, and I was working with Posca pens. And then I went on to find other information that was really interesting, and I found these glyphs that were created by tracing these shapes that resulted from overlaying many occurrences that they became like little units on one particular song by that was recorded by Paul Mack. Okay, and so I started interpreting them with pastels and making, each sound almost became like an island, and you could see the leftover of the pastels. So I kept going with these, making them like sounds, waves. They almost look like little islands, and you could see the whole process. And so I did all of them and worked with each one individually. And then at the end, I was like, okay, let's try these pastels. And this is what happened when I when I put the black light on the fluorescent pastels. And then I started working with the sounds, and so this one was like 2 whales singing, and I just loved the way the dust showed, but I couldn't keep it because I had to, spray them. And this is the music that I was listening to, and I was hoping that they were real songs. And like I said, the beginning was blue whales were very calm and very soothing, and this is what happened when I did this one with the pastels that were lit up with the black light. And then I did the humpback whales, and it was just kind of all over the place. There were, at least the recording that I was hearing, it was just kind of very active. And then I started also using the different pastels and putting the black light and concentrating in some areas. Like, these are details that I thought that were just fascinating because the whole thing was a little bit too much. So I had just little pieces and sections. I also did the other ones too with the fluorescent pastels. And then I decided to concentrate on just one sound. And I started doing this, like how I felt. So over to the right, you could see how you see the pastels in regular light, and when you would see the pastels with the black light. And I thought this was really interesting, and I started using these as backgrounds. I started looking for images of whales, and I started combining. Like, this particular piece was sort of from the beginning. I started taking the the music, the sheet music, but it was too straight. It was, you know, the other pieces were a little bit organic, were very curvy. So then I used the background that I started with, and I called it The Song of the Lover. And I used titles that were expressive in that manner, because whales would sing to attract mates, but they also communicate in different ways. And I thought it was really interesting when I researched that the whales actually practice, you know, when they're outside, you know, when they're feeding and stuff like that, they practice. And then when they come together to find their mate, they already know the songs. And it's really quite interesting, because they could see that the songs are actually repeated by a pod. You know, there's a repetition. They're very structured, which shows the intelligence of these animals that are just amazing. Then I found these fantastic images that show the songs of the whales, but in round. And I wanted to incorporate that. So over here, I called it the echoes of my songs. So it's kind of having a radius of sound showing out. And then I decided to look for sheet music, and I did find some sheet music that was arranged in the round by Juan del Valdo as a prologue to the Book of Mass, completed between 1677 and 1679. So I just took pieces of that and I integrated that, because I thought that this was really interesting, even though they're not whale songs, but it's like, you know, birds, which in a research that I found, when they accelerated the songs of the whales, it kind of started sounding like birds, which was really fascinating. So I integrated in this manner. This is one of my favorite pieces that combines all the elements that I was talking about. And I also use primary colors because they would kind of communicate, whales communicate with each other through these songs and through sounds. And this is the final piece that I made, and I called it The Song That Runs Through, or La Canción que Atraviesa. And I think it integrates well the whole process. And I think that's the end. And I would like to thank everybody for your patience and for giving me the opportunity to show again. I was crying literally, because I wanted to show what I had done. And I want to say that this is like my first artist residency, and I am completely grateful to be able to produce that I haven't been able to produce, because I'm an instructor and I just kind of teach. And this was kind of a release. My daughter was in one of our presentations, and she was expressing how she liked the fact that I was working again hands-on. So thank you. And I'm sorry that it didn't work the first time, and I appreciate you letting me share.
Thank you, Leila, very much. Muchas gracias, Leila. Qué bueno que pudiste presentar, no hay ningún problema. Quiero dar un resumen en español de lo que Frida dijo anteriormente a Leila. Nos faltó presentar a Bradley Couch, que él es un artista que no pudo estar aquí, y quiero hablar un poquito de él. Es un artista y cartógrafo conceptual con un título de técnico superior en sistemas informáticos y certificaciones en redes. Interesado en crear un mapa artístico, está interesado y ha creado en esta residencia un mapa artístico basado en mitos y leyendas. Lo pueden navegar en la exposición. Extendemos nuestro más sincero agradecimiento a los artistas de la Residencia Virtual Océano por compartir su pasión, sus conocimientos y su extraordinaria creatividad. Sus obras revelan la belleza y la fragilidad del océano con una claridad súper saliente, digamos. Esperamos que esta exposición inspire admiración, fomente un sentido de responsabilidad y nos recuerde que proteger el océano es proteger la vida misma, nuestra vida misma. En el espíritu del diseño del océano de las Naciones Unidas, que el arte nos anime a mantenernos informados, a actuar y a defender la conservación del océano. Los invitamos a explorar la exposición virtual en directo para conectar las obras finales de los artistas, cada una de las cuales es una poderosa reflexión sobre nuestra conexión con el mar y un llamado a salvaguardar el futuro, nuestro futuro. También encontrarás un enlace a un formulario de comentarios en el que podrás compartir tu opinión directamente con el artista, y para ellos es muy importante este paso. Si te tomas un minuto, puedes dejarles en el link que Frida va a dejar en el chat un comentario, una devolución a ellos, o con quien quieras, no hace falta a todos, pero es importante. Únete a nosotros en esta conversación continua sobre el arte y nuestro océano. Nos pueden seguir en redes sociales, ahí tenemos toda la información que vamos a ir cargando sobre ellos, sobre los artistas, y si esto crees que a alguien le puede resultar interesante, no dudes en compartírselo. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Artists, if you can, please stay behind. Everybody else, thank you so much for being here. Good morning, good night, for everybody joining us with different time zones.
Gracias a todos por estar aquí. A los artistas les pedimos que se queden un minuto más. El resto de la audiencia les agradecemos enormemente que estén aquí, que hayan participado hasta este momento, y los invitamos a que continúen en ese link a la exposición. Muchas gracias y hasta pronto.